Hello, children. It's good to be back with you. So, remember that we did My Treasury of Fairy Tales and we did the newspaper talk? Today, we are going to read the next story. I would like to request you to subscribe to my channel and like the video if you like the story. So, let's get going. So, where were we? Today we are reading the tale of Flop and Whiskers. Flop and Whiskers were two white rabbits belonging to Ben and Jane. They had fine whiskers, little black bobtails, and big floppy ears. Ben and Jane were very fond of them and looked after them well. Flop and Whiskers lived happily enough in a big hutch. They were friendly with one another, but sometimes they found things dull. Oh, if only something exciting would happen, Flop sighed. Yes, something that we could remember and talk about for weeks and weeks, said Whiskers. But nothing ever happens to pet rabbits. They live in a hutch and eat and sleep, that's all. But one night something did happen. Flop and Whiskers heard a noise in the garden and looked out of their hutch. There was a bright moonlight coming down the garden path. It was a long procession of fairies. In their midst was a snow-white carriage with gold handles and gold wheels. It was drawn by 6 rabbits. Just look at that, cried Flop excitedly. It must be a fairy. Princess of some kind. Oh, don't I wish I was one of those rabbits pulling her carriage? Wouldn't I feel grand? Isn't it beautiful? Said Whiskers, his little nose pressed against the wires of the hutch door. The procession came down the path and passed by the rabbit's cage. They were so excited they could see a princess in the snow-white carriage. And just as she passed their hutch, she leaned out and blew a kiss to them. Flop scraped at the wire of the door, trying the hardest to get out and run after the procession. But it was of no use. The wire was too strong. Look! Suddenly cried Whiskers. The procession had stopped. What has happened? One of the rabbits has gone lame, said Flop. See, its foot is limping. What a to-do there was! All the fairies gathered around the limping rabbit, who shook his head dolefully and held up his foot in pain. The princess leaned out her carriage and pointed to the rabbit hutch she had just passed. She called her something in her high little voice. I say, Flop, I believe the princess is saying that one of us could draw her carriage instead of the lame rabbit, said Whiskers in excitement. Oh, I wonder which of us will be chosen. The little fairies came running back to the rabbit hutch and climbed to the wire. Will you come and draw our princess carriage just for tonight? They cried. One of the rabbits has hurt his foot. Oh, yes, squeaked the 2 white rabbits in delight. But which one of us do you want? Both of you, please, said the fairies. You see, the rabbits have to go on in pairs, and we can't leave the lame rabbit alone. We shall set free the hurt rabbit and his companion so that we can have you 2 white rabbits instead. So will you both come? You shall be brought back before sunrise. Flop and Whiskers joyfully told the fairies how to open their hutch, and then they jumped out in delight. In a moment they were harnessed with the other rabbits, and the 2 whose place they were taking hopped away into the hedges. The fairies cried out in delight to see the 2 beautiful white rabbits among the other ones. They made such a noise that they woke up Ben and Jane. The children jumped out of bed and went to their bedroom window. Looking out into the moonlight, they saw the fairy procession going along down the garden path, and they stared in astonishment. Jane, said Ben, look at those white rabbits drawing the carriage along with the 4 other rabbits. Don't they look like Flop and Whiskers? Yes, they do, said Jane. And oh, look, Ben, their hutch door is open. I can see it quite plainly in the moonlight. The children ran downstairs to see the procession, but it had passed by before they were in the garden. So they went to see the rabbit hutch was open, and it was. Oh dear, I shall be sorry not to have dear old Flop and Whiskers, said Jane, almost crying. They were so sweet. I don't think it would be very kind of the fairies to take them away from us. The next morning, the hutch door was fastened shut, and two white rabbits were safely back in their hutch once more. When Ben and Jane went to peep, they found both rabbits fast asleep in the hay, and they didn't even wake up when the children put some fresh lettuce in for them. Goodness, aren't they tired, said Jane, except they walked for miles last night, dragging their lovely carriage behind them. I do wonder where they went. Where did they go? Well, they went to a party. The Prince of Derry Down Palace was just 21, and he had sent out invitations to his birthday party. And of course, the princess had one of the beautiful invitation cards too. Her name was Fenella, and she loved parties. She had only just grown up, so she hadn't been to many big parties. She had a new dress and new silver shoes made, and she looked very lovely in them. I will lend you my second best coach, the white one with gold wheels, said her father, the king. You shall have either my 6 rabbits to draw it or my 6 cats. The princess chose the rabbits. They were the very ones that the two children hadn't seen in the night. The 2 white rabbits, Flop and Whiskers, watched the 2 whose place they took run into the hedge, and then off they went with the other 4. I hope we keep up all right, panted Flop. We aren't very used to galloping. We have been so used to sitting in our hutch. But they galloped along just as fast as the other rabbits, and the princess was very pleased. They shall go to Rabbit's party, she said to the fairies with her. They deserve it. The prince was giving a party. For his friends and the rabbits he sometimes rode were giving a party for the 6 rabbits who drew the princess' scores. So you can imagine the delight of Flop and Whiskers when 4 fine rabbits with bows around their necks made them welcome to their own little party in the grounds of the palace. The rabbits were given blue bows to wear and sat down at little tables with dishes of delicious-looking food. Look, Flop, said Whiskers, carrot sandwiches. And see, that's cabbage pie, said Flop. And here's turnip cake. And what's this? Lettuce biscuits. What a wonderful meal. It certainly was. And afterwards the 10 rabbits had a little dance of their own. Flop and Whiskers were very sorry when it was all over. The rabbits pulled the princess' carriage home for her, and then they ran back to their hutch, curled up to go to sleep, tired out. Flop and Whiskers longed to tell the children all about their adventures, but they couldn't. When they woke up, they looked at one another in delight. Flop said, "Did we dream it, Whiskers? Or was it true?" "Quite true," said Whiskers, "and we had an adventure at last, Flop. We can talk about it for weeks and weeks. We'll never feel dull again." So Flop and Whiskers talk about it all day long, and I wish I could listen to them, don't you? So we're done with our story today. Thank you for joining us, and do hit the subscribe button. See you later, alligators. Bye-bye.